woke? It promises an end to racism. It promises an end to sexism. It promises an end to all unfairness in our society. And yet it doesn't actually do any of those things. So if it doesn't do any of those things, what does woke actually do? Hey there, I'm Jared Julia, and welcome to another episode of The Cave. Thanks so much for joining me. Today we're going to talk about woke, because a lot of people are drawn to woke because they want to end racism, they want to end all forms of injustice. And this is a good and noble thing that these people want to do. But a lot of us that push back on woke scratch that surface and look below those high ideals and see that woke actually expects you to believe a lot of crap that you don't want to believe, that no reasonable person would ever believe. That a man can be a woman if he feels like he is, and he wears some lipstick and a little bit of rouge and extends his pinky at tea time. That he can be a woman, and then when he wipes off the lipstick, he's a man again. That if you have a certain color skin, you are incapable of being racist. But if you have another color skin, you are automatically a victim. So, I mean, these are just absolutely nonsensical things that the woke expect to believe, and that you have to at least pretend to believe in order to be woke. So it sounds like woke is this highly idealistic thing that's ultimately just a lot of stupid, almost constantly self-contradicting, nonsensical things. And it's not that at all. It actually was created by some very smart people. And it actually is a highly effective movement, and it is a highly effective and very efficient ideology. Well, and that's because it's not really what it appears to be. The purpose of woke and what it enables its proponents to do is to consolidate power. As you've noticed, that as woke has been more a part of our society, you have less of a right to freely express yourself. So as freedom of speech wanes, as you exercise less freedom of speech than your parents did, you're wondering, okay, if I'm losing this power, where did it go? And where it's gone is to a small group of elites. It used to be that institutions worked for all of us. And now it seems like institutions, especially government, doesn't seem to do what we want at all. I mean, honestly, who wants an open border where any terrorist, any criminal, and all kinds of human trafficking can come over our border without our knowledge? I think we all want immigrants because we're all the children of immigrants. And immigrants really make a stronger nation and a more diverse nation. But just having this overrunning that we've seen doesn't serve hardly anyone. And yet it continues to happen, even though no one seems to want it to happen. And also other institutions just continue to disappoint time after time. And yet I grew up in an America where institutions seem to care about what people thought. I mean, if you look at the recent statements by the Harvard president on the Hamas-Israeli war, she's kind of on take 3 now. She's had 3 different statements on the war. And, of course, the first one a few days ago was just horrible. And then she had a take 2. And that was even criticized by the regents of Harvard University. And of course, the third one, not much better. So it's just staggering. How is this happening? And it really is kind of the effectiveness of woke. So, another thing that I wanted to talk about was how we're seeing with this Hamas-Israeli war and the fallout on our college campuses. We're seeing this up close now, and a lot of people haven't seen our higher education in this light before. And I think that it will ultimately, even though it's very negative, I think it will ultimately have a very positive impact on our society going forward. What I mean by that is that a wise man once said that catalysts they only appear to change our society, but they don't really. They're these things that make us cognizant of the fact that our society has already changed. And I think that what we're seeing with these Harvard students saying all these horribly anti-Semitic things, supporting a terrorist organization, morally showing a moral equivalent between a terrorist organization that's literally targeting innocent people and a military organization that is targeting military targets but accidentally killing civilians, that those two things are morally equivalent. I mean, it's just, you just wonder who is teaching our best and brightest these absolutely maniacal and stupid things. And the answer is that it's not something that's happening right now. This is something that has been happening for a long time. It's just that this event is making us finally cognizant of these things, which I think will eventually enable the parents' rights organizations to garner even more strength from both the left and the right. Because what we've been saying for many years is that, K through 12, the public school system is teaching your kids a lot of nonsense, and it's dangerous nonsense. And we're also saying that higher education is teaching your kids a lot of nonsense, and it's dangerous nonsense. And a lot of people just don't believe that, which is totally understandable, because when I first heard it, I didn't believe it. I mean, when I was in college in the late 80s, a million years ago, I wasn't taught nonsense. And before that, in the public school system, I wasn't taught nonsense. I got a good education. I went to a small state school. And I still believe I got a very good education. So it's tough to lose faith in these institutions and think that they're just teaching fear of people that are different from you, and hating anyone who's a different color, hating anyone who's a different gender, and just hating anyone different from you. It's hard to believe that colleges are doing that, especially when the sales pitch, when the very top-level superfluous version of woke is that they're going to end these things. They're going to end all unfairness, which would end fear, I suppose, and they're going to end all forms of racism. So how could they possibly be teaching our kids to hate anyone who's different from them? So it's been tough for a while, but I think that this is finally waking people up when they hear these things, when they see these students from Harvard tearing down these pictures that have been put up by Jewish people that they have extended family in Israel, and these people have been kidnapped by Hamas, and they want to put a human face on this tragedy. And so they put their pictures up, and these college students are tearing them down. You think, how could you do something so inhumane, so horrible? It's just, it gives me chills when I think about the inhumanity of these college students, of these privileged Ivy Leaguers that are doing this to other people. And I look at this Jewish member of their alumni society for Harvard. He's raised millions of dollars for Harvard. He runs their society, and he has recently resigned over a lot of the anti-Semitism coming from Harvard. But it's funny that even somebody like that, who's still associated with Harvard, didn't realize what a lot of these guys are being taught on campus. And part of the reason for this is that and one of the reasons why I think Western civilization is going to make a comeback is, one of the things about Western civilization is we love debate, rigorous debate that questions everything. And you've got this woke ideology that questions nothing. You have right think, correct think, that is a very specific set of ideas. And then everything else becomes, like out of an Orwell novel, wrong think. And any kind of wrong think is shut down. It's canceled. And, if anyone else says something that is wrongthink, they can call the bias response team. And I have another video that I made just about bias response teams on campus, which really have these struggle sessions with anyone guilty of wrongthink. So all of these things have destroyed free speech on campuses, which is very, very disturbing, but it's also very damaging because these people don't at once come to these ridiculous conclusions. They come about it over time. Jonathan Haidt, a psychology professor from NYU, has talked about this extensively, that on campus you have people that they come up with one of these terrible, irresponsible ideas that's removed from reality just a little bit, and no one questions it because it's correct think. So they kind of move over an inch after a while, after it doesn't get questioned, and they get more and more removed from reality. They get more and more, they get closer and closer to Looneyville, to now we have the present day where when somebody on one of these college campuses speaks on social media, the rest of us are absolutely floored by how completely out of touch with reality these young kids are. And it's because of this process where things are no longer challenged. Colleges and universities no longer encourage children, their students, to seek truth. They are told what to think, and then they are explained what all other forms of thinking are all wrong think, and you must never engage in that. And when you get taught kids this, this is what you get. But I think that this realization has really hit home for a lot of people, and it's causing a lot of consternation, and it's going to cause a lot of people to question, hey, what are we teaching? What are they teaching on college campuses? These kids just don't come up with this stuff. They're being taught this, and they weren't just told this one time. They've been taught this over time. And I think this is an important process for us to go over so that we really look critically at what our kids are being taught in colleges, and before that, what our kids are being taught in public schools. And unfortunately, it had to come to something like this for us to really understand it. But here's where we are. And I think that even despite all of this negativeness and how horrible this situation is, I really think that we'll come out of this much better and much stronger. Certainly, we'll be more vigilant of the educators that are in charge of the education of our children. So, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Jared Julia, and I hope you join us again. Well, if you liked what you saw, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to smack that bell.